Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Wendy Salganic from Willa Wanders. That's at willa.wanders on Instagram. And I am the head mistress of a mixed media art school called Willa Workshops on Teachable. And we have a school called Fodder School. If you've never heard of Fodder School before, this is going to be a great sort of introduction to the kinds of things that we do in Fodder School as a community. And I'm here today making this video because we are just wrapping up our fourth Fodder Challenge called Fodder Challenge 2024. And it's been quite a month. We have 11 different lessons this year in Fodder Challenge. And if you haven't joined Fodder Challenge before, no worries. You can always join us in Fodder School 4 and get access to all of the Fodder Challenge lessons. You'll get lifetime access if you join Fodder School 4. But I'm just here today to do a review of all of these absolutely delicious projects that came our way in Fodder Challenge 2024. So I'm going to push all of this out of the way and just give each lesson attention on its own because, oh my gosh, was this an amazing Fodder Challenge. Our first lesson for Fodder Challenge 2024 was these magical, mysterious mushrooms that Tracy Wozniak taught us how to create. And I went crazy. I think you can see I went completely bonkers for this lesson because who doesn't love a mushroom? Okay, maybe some people do not love a mushroom, but I love a mushroom, okay? When I'm out in the wild and I see mushrooms, I take like 100 pictures of one kind of mushroom. I just think mushrooms are amazing. And mushroom art is also a favorite of mine and a lot of other people's. This is not something that's going to come as a surprise to you mixed media artists, but mushrooms are fun. They are fun to make, fun to use in your art journals, on your greeting cards, on your mixed media art projects. They are just fun. Tracy is a mixed media artist and a watercolor artist, and she just created this incredibly delicious, magical lesson. It's a many step process. It's not something that's obvious just from looking at these mushrooms online. You really have to understand her process, and she teaches it. She holds our hand through it, and it's amazing. And as you can see, it was so much fun to do. It was very hard to stop, but I had to stop because I had to move on to the next lesson in Fodder Challenge, which was from Rebecca Chapman art. So Rebecca is an artist that lives and works in the UK, and Rebecca is a collage artist. She is a fan favorite in Fodder School. Rebecca taught us a Fodder Challenge lesson of making these collage Polaroids. So she also taught a very distinctive style of collage fodder creation, which I have never seen before. It's definitely Rebecca's proprietary process as far as I'm aware. And I absolutely love these. My intention for these, because I love affirmations and quotes, it's just something that really appeals to me. It may not be everybody's thing, but I love affirmations. I love positive quotes. It just makes me feel happy, less sad. My goal with these is to write some type of inspirational quote on each one of them, because then I'll be able to either just give them out as they are to people or put them on the front of thank you notes and then use them as a set of thank you notes, which honestly, at this point, I could definitely use some more thank you notes. So it might not be a bad idea because I can coordinate them with some cool envelopes, and this would just make an absolutely gorgeous set of greeting cards, thank you notes, that kind of thing. Another option is just to sign each one with the signature and the date, because it literally is like giving someone a small piece of your art. So if you mount this to the top of a greeting card, then when people receive these in the mail, they oftentimes keep them on a bookshelf, they keep them on a desk, and it's truly like a piece of original art. So actually, maybe I'll go that direction without the affirmations. I don't know, but I'm definitely not going to leave these sitting in a drawer. The other thing is these would be great in art journals, like as part of an art journal page. So maybe I'll just hold on to some of them for art journaling and put some of them on cards, because of course I made a lot of them, but that's because they're freaking stunning. Okay. Can I just show you how stunning these are? Like, I'm looking at them now and I'm like, I can't believe I made that. So thank you so much, Rebecca Chapman from the UK, Rebecca Chapman Art. Rebecca was a teacher in Fodder School 1. She was an Inspiration Squad member or a Hype Squad member in Fodder School 2. She worked behind the scenes in our administration at Fodder School 3, and now she's back as a Fodder School 4 instructor, and she always delivers incredible mixed media collage art lessons. I love Rebecca very much. All right, on to the third lesson. The third lesson in Fodder Challenge 2024 was a lesson about decorating leaves. These are all actual leaves. The instructor is Amanda Trout. Amanda lives in Barbados, but she's originally from the UK. And you can actually listen to interviews that I did with all of the Fodder School 4 instructors on my podcast, which is called Show Up or Shut Up. And showing up is just showing up. Show up and make art. And if you're not showing up and making art, just shut up about it. Make art. It just makes people happy. Just touching the art makes me happy. Making the art. The world is a crazy place. Life is not easy. Human relationships are not easy. War is happening. And if it wasn't for making art, I just think I would like lose my shiz. So, oh my gosh, did I love this lesson from Amanda. And when I tell you that I was only able to complete a tiny fraction of what Amanda taught in the Fodder Challenge when it comes to different ways to decorate leaves, like this was just one of many options and lessons that she taught. And I started making them and I was just absolutely smitten. And I didn't want to stop and I didn't move on to any of her other lessons because I so loved this one. So yeah, I think I need to collect a lot more leaves and make a lot more of these because these are going to show up later in Fodder Challenge. And I could easily see, again, putting this in an art journal page, using this on a piece of collage that gets mounted later on a wood panel. Like these are things that you just want to have a mountain of in your stash for incorporation into later pieces of art. And that is the foundational philosophy of Fodder School. It's make fodder, make a mountain of fodder, because fodder, collage fodder, is the key to magical art later on. You don't want to just make a few. You want to make a lot. Don't worry about if you're going to use it all. Don't worry about making too much. Just make a lot, because when you have a lot to choose from and you go to a higher level project than this, you're going to be able to create magic, and you're going to see that as this video keeps going. So, okay, so Amanda was our third lesson. Now, I might get the order of the lessons wrong, but just excuse my older brain in not remembering exactly which order we did the lessons in. But I think possibly the next lesson was Jack Ravi. And Jack Ravi also lives in the UK, but Jack lives in Scotland, I think. If I got that wrong, he lives in Ireland, but actually I think it's Scotland. But he's actually originally from Italy. And his Instagram account is going to show up here on the screen. He is Jack Ravi Art. And I am in love with Jack's lesson for Fodder Challenge 2024. Jack calls these memory medals because they are based on medals that would be awarded to people at wartime. And the beautiful thing is that we get to recreate these medals with feelings of happiness. And I just think these are absolutely stunning. I hope you can see the full breadth of this, yes, on this video, which you can. I could, like any one of these lessons from Fodder Challenge, I could have spent a month just making mountains of this one type of collage fodder, but I had to move on because I've got a lot on my plate and I can't sit with anything for too long just because I've got a lot going on. But boy, did I get lost in this lesson. You can see I've got pictures of my grandfather, pictures of my mother, pictures of my grandmother, another grandfather. Here's my grandma Frida. Guys, can you believe it? My grandmother's name was Frida. This is Frida when she was about 18 years old, when she met my grandpa Sam. Here's Sam. Oh, I absolutely love these memory medals. So Jack is actually going to be our teacher for the first month coming up, the first month of regular Fodder School content. And am I excited to make a book and choose one of these memory medals to have on the cover of that book. But boy, am I glad that I made a ton of them because these are going to show up obviously in my work later on. And just on it, just having them is incredible. Just like having them around me in my art studio, just absolutely magical. I also used some of the leftover collage fodder from Rebecca's lessons. You remember Rebecca's Polaroid lessons. So I had leftover collage fodder and I started to use that in some of the memory medals. And I thought that looked gorgeous. So that's also just part of the fun of making a lot of fodder is, again, how it shows up. And it's this organic cycle of creation and having things show up. If I could talk about just like little aspects of things and where things came from, this fabric I actually hand dyed, this aqua colored fabric I hand dyed during some lessons in Fodder School 1. This fabric here was some cleanup fabric, I think, from Fodder School 2. It's just like you keep a piece of fabric with you, and when you're working, you just wipe paint on it. So it's just those kinds of touches that I know are there. I know where these things came from that make the work meaningful and significant to me. Yeah, this fabric here was turmeric dyed in Fodder School 1 lessons with Amy Bishop. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to go into every detail about where these fabrics came from or why. This is a vintage sheet from the 70s. I have a whole collection of vintage sheets from the 70s because I absolutely love those vintage floral illustrations. So I'm always incorporating them into my work. And it just somehow it all works together as a cohesive style. All right, our next Fodder Challenge, Fodder School 4 instructor is Angela Kennedy. And Angela's Instagram account is @PennyStamper. And Angela is probably one of the premier artists in the mixed media community that really focuses a lot on drawing faces. They're not realistic faces, they are fantasy faces. And she has really perfected this art form in a very signature, very memorable way. And she taught us her signature techniques, and we were able to create these faces with some paper doll elements on Rolodex cards. And I happen to have a collage Rolodex. And what I did is I practiced Angela's face method, drew them onto the Rolodex cards, created the doll art, and then I paired each of my Rolodex cards up with a collage fodder that I made in a Fodder School 3 lesson with Sarah Gardner, GCS Art. And they just look so gorgeous. Like I love the pairing up kind of excitement there. And Yeah, these stamps here are not stamps. These are this eye stencil is something from Megan Quinlan that I used on the collage fodder that Sarah taught us how to create. And then I paired it up with the new art that I made in Fodder Challenge with Angela. And I'm absolutely in love with this. Angela's face method is incredible. I'm not a big drawer of faces until now. Like now I have a very, very satisfying technique I could see myself employing a lot. So thank you, Angela, for coming to Fodder School and sharing your magic with us. I haven't done the pairing yet on this one, but yeah, I've been wanting to continue on with this because I love them so much. All right, that was Angela at Penny Stamper. Okay, what was next? I believe what was next was lessons from Stephanie Lee. She is at Stephanie Lee Art on Instagram, and Stephanie taught us a very fun texture technique that she has really done a lot of research on of how to create these textures in art. And I happen to be just a big fan of the juxtaposition of dirty, grungy, textural, old, decaying, yucky things juxtaposed with fun, bright, modern colors and fun, bright, modern sort of like techniques. So like, here's an example of a pattern that is, well, it's ancient and it's modern. It's ancient because this pattern is probably from Arabic art thousands of years ago, but it's modern in the sense that these patterns have come back in vogue in the last decade. And it's kind of that nod to the ancient, but bringing it into the modern that I find is incredibly appealing about mixed media art, because we can have them together in the same pieces. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. So learning Stephanie's technique of creating these textures, I started to play around with, what would it look like if I mounted something like this onto a piece like that? And you've got the ancient and the modern and the crossover and the repetition of ancient things moving into modern times. And it's just, I think these look really, really cool. So I just have fun playing with this stuff. I was able to incorporate text, which is also a personal passion of mine. I love hand lettering. I love text art. I love graffiti art. This looks like graffiti to me, which is cool. So that was Stephanie's lesson. I also love that these are done on fabric. I love browns. I've been really into browns lately. I think you can see in all of my work recently, all of the work from Fodder Challenge, that I've, instead of playing with black plus color, I've really been more incorporating browns, earth tones plus color. And I'm loving the direction that my color palette is moving in, because it is always kind of slightly shifting and moving. I'm not stuck anywhere, although there is kind of a general cohesion to my color palette. Next, we have Liz Constable at Book Art Studios. Liz is an artist who is originally from the UK, but she now lives in New Zealand. And Liz is coming back for her second time as a Fodder School teacher. She was a teacher in Fodder School 2, and she is now a teacher in Fodder School 4. Now, this book is a handmade book that I created from papers that Liz gifted me a long, long time ago at this point. And when she gifted me some of her handmade papers, aka collage fodder, I put together this gorgeous book. And years ago, I started working in the book. See, I put this, Waiting for Willa. So I started working in the book, but then I put the book away and I forgot about the book. And Liz's lessons in Fodder Challenge were the perfect opportunity for me to bring this book out of my collection and to add some more art to it. So what we did with Liz is we worked with rubber stamps, but Liz showed us a variety of ways to use rubber stamps in unconventional ways that we may not have thought of on our own. And I basically took Liz's inspiration and I used her methods and I explored for a whole entire day just what I could do with some of my rubber stamps in this book that was a book that I was kind of a collaborator with Liz on. So this was so much fun to pull out rubber stamps that I've either never used or haven't used in a really long time. Like I bought these stamps, these Lynn Perella stamps from Paper Artsy, and I had never ever actually stamped with them. I had never used them. They were sitting in my collection of rubber stamps, and it was with Liz's inspiration that I was able to bring them out and use them in this book. This was some of the original art I made in the book, but I was able to add to the book, and I'm really, really, really happy with what I was able to add to the book. This was actually, I added this after Fodder School 1. This was after Fodder School 1. Yeah, so here I added a mushroom from Tracy's lesson, more fun rubber stamping techniques. This is not a Paper Artsy stamp. This is a different artist. I'm going to space out on her name, but this is, everyone loves this stamp. If I can remember, I will add her name to this video because people do love her stamps as well. So that was Liz's Fodder Challenge lesson. In Fodder School, Liz is actually going to teach a complete book course using a technique that she is unveiling in Fodder School 4, never before taught, and we are going to make an absolutely magical, amazing book with Liz in Fodder School 4. I believe what was next was lessons from Sally Hurst. Sally Hurst is also a UK artist, and Sally taught us how to create jelly prints using hardware. And she had a very special, fun, amazing technique that she just developed and is only teaching it right now in Fodder School. So I was able to collect a bunch of antique keys. Let me show you those keys. There are not enough antique keys in the world for me. This is my entire collection. I would love to have 100 more of these in my possession. I just think that they are magical, and anything that's like seriously rusted out that looks kind of handmade. I'm just thinking about something. My son is about to start taking blacksmithing classes, and I wonder if I could ask him to make it a project of his to learn how to make antique looking keys. I wonder if blacksmiths, I imagine that that's how keys were originally made, but of course these are like stamped out by a machine. But I wonder if like the really, really old keys from thousands of years ago, if they even had them, would have been made by blacksmiths. That makes sense to me. Anyway, I'm very into that. I just think it's so cool. Anyway, Sally taught us how to get jelly prints out of these things. And this is the beginning of introducing this concept for Fodder School 4. We're going to be working a lot with different objects and printing different objects and printing from things that you find outside of your home that you can create plates for and then print using your jelly plate. So this was just a taste of it. And some of them came out better than others. Obviously, when there's some more high contrast, you can really see the keys. Then you have lower contrast, but still gorgeous. But my favorite thing of all with jelly printing is the wipe off sheets. So I save all of these sheets and they become either envelope liners or envelopes for future mail art projects, or they just become collage fodder for other projects. So I'm always excited to do jelly printing because I know that I'm going to have some incredible, incredible collage fodder to work with, as well as the beautiful jelly prints. So that's always something to be really excited about. Okay. And then our next teacher in Fodder Challenge and Fodder School 4 is Leaca Young. Her Instagram account is going to pop up on the screen. She spells her name Leaca Young. Her real name is Elisa, Eleaca, but she just goes by Leaca Young, spelled Leaca Young. And Lisa did a tag lesson that began with the printed tags, not just plain tags, but printed tags that you often find in dry cleaners, alterations, that kind of thing. And you can buy these just on the internet. And boy, oh boy, am I happy with how these came out. So I was able to incorporate both Tracy's mushrooms and Amanda's leaves and get some really outstanding looking tag art. So if you're not a mixed media artist, you might be wondering, like, what does someone do with a tag? So first and foremost, I would say tag art is just fun to create. Like, it doesn't matter if these are going to sit in a box and in 100 years from now, your ancestors are going to discover them. It is the making of tags that is the primary joy. But what could you do with a tag? So if you have a lot of these from a lot of different lessons you've done in the past, or maybe you make up your own versions of tag art, they're just good to have on hand because they can be incorporated into art journal pages, and they can often be actually pages in handmade books. So I have a stash of tags made at different times over many, many years. And I use those tags. They get used in future projects. So it's always good to have a wide variety of different tag art just in your stash for future projects. So I think these came out wonderfully. I think these came out wonderfully. The papers, some of the papers that I used in these tags were actually from previous years of Fodder School. So I can identify where some of them came from. This paper was actually from a Fodder School 1 lesson from Rebecca Chapman. This one, I can't remember which Fodder School lesson it came from. These papers, the ones with the stripes, these were from a lesson from Jennifer Wilkin-Pennick in Fodder School 3. Those were, this paper here was from a lesson in Fodder School 3 by Sarah Gardner, GCS Art. So I've got, quite a stash of leftovers from previous years of Fodder School. And those are the things that make my art unique. It's like I'm pulling from these collections of collage fodder. And that's the magic. That's the secret of mixed media art, is having the collage fodder and having it recycle into other projects. So there you go. I just revealed what I believe to be the whole entire magical secret of amazing mixed media art. Okay. The next lesson is from Carrie Smith. Carrie is a brand new Fodder School teacher, and Carrie has a very distinctive style that she creates her own art that is for sale. And I knew as soon as I saw Carrie's art that I wanted her to become a Fodder School teacher. And boy, oh boy, was I happy when she said yes to Fodder School 4. And I asked her if she could create a lesson on making sacred hearts, because sacred hearts, I didn't even really understand what a sacred heart was. I knew it was a Mexican thing. I did not know it was actually a religious thing before she taught her lesson, but I knew that they appealed to me on a very, very deep level. And she taught a wonderful lesson. Now I understand the beauty of a sacred heart. Not being a religious person myself, I'm not overly concerned with the religious practice of a sacred heart. It's not really a religious practice. It comes out of Catholicism, and I'm not Catholic, nor am I Christian, but I still think that there's a lot of beauty in any practice, in anything, any truth, anything that's true is a beautiful thing, or it can be a beautiful thing. And I just find so much beauty in the meaning behind these and the kinds of materials that they use in Mexican art and Mexican folk art. My family and I took a trip to Mexico City this past year, and I would just love to incorporate more influences of Mexican art into my mixed media art practice. So obviously we're all kind of obsessed with Frida Kahlo. So it was another opportunity to just get Frida into my art. And yeah, I think these are going to show up on greeting cards. They're going to show up for me on art journal pages. I also really think I would love to put these in frames, doing like sort of that 3-dimensional frame look. So this is not the end of Sacred Hearts for me, because I think that this is beautiful and really just the beginning. And I absolutely adored this lesson from Carrie Smith. And her Instagram, again, is Carrie Smith Art. And our final lesson, I hope I didn't miss anything. Our final lesson is from a star of Fodder School. Her name is Megan Quinlan. Her Instagram account is Megan Quinlan Studio. And Megan is a lover of paper dolls. That is one of her specialties. She actually has a course on Willow Workshops just about making paper dolls. But Megan has also been a 4-time Fodder School teacher. And for Fodder Challenge, she taught us how to do these dressed up 3-dimensional, not just paper dolls, but paper and fabric dolls. And I am in love. I'm in love. I'm in love with every one of these. They will show up in my art journals. They will show up in my collage art. This one is my particular favorite. This one is absolutely worthy of being in a frame on a wall. I could probably even take this a little bit further, but I love it just the way that it is. So these were really fun to make. And because I have a really good stash of collage fodder, they came together rather quickly. Not only do I have incredible paper fodder, but I also have a pretty decent sized stash of fabric fodder, a lot that I've hand decorated through the years. So like this piece was from Fodder School 3 lessons where we created our own stamps and we did block printing. On this one, we've got, again, that thing that I love, which is the vintage sheets from the 70s. Plus I've got some Bakelite buttons that my friend's mom gave me, like a giant stash. Here's another one of Bakelite buttons, and I was able to incorporate those. And all of these bird heads and this animal head came out of books that were gifted to me by the company Collage Soup. So you might be familiar with Collage Soup. Emily is the owner of Collage Soup. She's been very actively involved in the mixed media art community, the collage community, and she's creating these books that are perfect for projects like this, perfect for collage art. These 4 all have papers from Liz Constable, Book Art Studios, her lessons in Fodder School 2. So those are from my stash of papers from her lessons. This paper was from my clean off sheets from the same lessons that I made these fabrics in. This is from Yatunde's lessons in Fodder School 3. So I knew when I was having cleanup sheets in her lessons that they were going to create some really magical collage fodder. And I've got a big stack of those. And then this collage fodder came from actually this Fodder Challenge 2024, the papers that we made with Tracy Wozniak, More Than Marmalade. And that is the magic of fodder. So I'm just going to show you before we go, like some stuff from my fabric stash, because you just don't want to throw stuff away. I mean, I know we joke about this, but these are the bowls that I pull these random pieces parts from. And it's like, you think this is garbage, but this stuff becomes magic later on. So hold on to your paper scraps, hold on to your fabric scraps, things that look like garbage actually become like, this could have been, okay, let me just show you this. Megan was like, you should put a scarf on your birds. Like, this piece of absolute junk that most people would throw away could have gone on a bird as a beautiful silk scarf. There you go. So don't throw your junk away. Join Fodder School 4. It's freaking awesome. The teachers are awesome. The school is awesome. Thanks for watching. I'm Wendy Solganic at Willa.Wanders on Instagram and WillaWanders.com and Willa Workshops on Teachable. Like and follow, leave comments, do all that stuff, and just have fun, because life is short and the world is a beep place. And, oh, I don't think I'm allowed to say that. The world is a beep place, and we got to make art, guys. We just got to make art to stay sane. Love you. Bye.